I was blessed to love what I did for a job, just like you're doing now. You know, it's like you really have to love it, because I think that's what, when you wake up in the morning, you bounce out of bed. That's the way to do it. It's like, okay, what do I got going today? What purpose do I have to jump up out of bed? And I think football, you could look at it as a sport, but to me, it was all about like relationships and teammates. So, you know, even mentors, you know, I talk about some people who I would say were more my teachers. Then I have like my teammates who are my motivators, and I didn't want to let those guys down. And there was a lot of those, you know, Rodney Harrison and Ty Law and Kevin Falk and Wes Welker and Randy Moss and Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Gronk and Julian. Like, you just don't, when you know they're putting a lot on the line, their body, their family, their time, you don't want to let them down. And so there's an accountability to sports.
Talent or hard work, out of the two of them, which one is a more important ingredient to the type of success that you've seen?
Hard work, 100%. And I have real life examples, not just in sports, but in business. In order to be your best, you need to maximize your physical, your mental, and your emotional. And we're talking about physical, you're talking about talent, which is great. And that's a great bar to set. You need to have the height, the weight, the speed, the ability, the physical ability. But then you need, to me, the ability to learn, process information, take in lots of information to be able to apply it, take what you're learning from a meeting room out to a field. And then you need to bring a competitive stamina to practice every day to be your best. And I was talking with my friend earlier this week, and he was like, well, what separated you on the football field? And I was like, I think there was part of me that was a psychopath out there, because I was extremely hyper competitive every day. I didn't feel like, okay, let's get to Sunday and then now it's the time. Like, every day was the time. And every day is the time to give your best. And even if it's practice, do your best in practice. And I learned that in college. Like, if I didn't do my best in practice, I wasn't going to play on the weekend because there was no entitlement. So I had to work hard to prove to my teammates, hey, I'm ready to go. I got to be there. I got to show up. I got to be ready. I got to treat this game like it matters more than anything. Well, when my teammates feel that, guess who else has to raise the bar? My teammates, because I'm bringing the juice every day.
Rising tide.
So exactly. So that's what leaders do. Leaders don't have days off. They show up every day and they're like, I'm giving my best. Well, why? That's for me, great. But it's also going to make them better. And then when they're better, we're better. And then we don't have to wait to Sunday to get better. We could get better on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because that's the competition. And then the season ends March, April, May, June. When no one's watching, what are we doing? And if we're all getting better, 5% better or 8% better, and they're not, well, over time, who wins? The guys that are getting better. Sure. I always define leadership as, do you care about your teammates or your coworkers, and do you care what we're trying to accomplish? That to me is great leadership. And like, there's a lot of people that go about those different ways. Some people are more vocal, some people are more action oriented. But I think whether it's verbal or whether it's action, it will still reflect upon those two goals. Like, but if it's about me, my glorification or my money or my agenda, there's not a caring element to the people that you're working with. And it's also not an element about how are we doing this as a team, because football is a team sport. I didn't choose an individual sport. So I needed everybody to be good. I needed every player, every coach. So I needed to be the example. But I had to let them know that, guys, this is about us. This isn't about me, this is us. And you do that a lot of different ways. And then, okay, what are we trying to accomplish? We're trying to be our best every day. How are we going to do that? And then you put the plan in action. But in this world today, there's so many people that are me focused. You know, and I think that's a big difference from when I look back maybe previously to, you know, this era of social media where we all have our own production businesses and we're all trying to self-promote. And there's a place for that, for sure. But in team sports, that should not be the main priority. Like, if you're off season and you've got to promote products and sell products and you want to bring awareness to certain things, it could be a foundation, it could be a business. I'm cool with that. Yep. But if you're trying to take away from what the team's trying to accomplish as we go on a mission to beat the other teams that we're competing against, well, then we're going to have a problem. because we're not going to be all committed to the same goal. You're going to have one goal. You're going to have a goal. I'm going to have a goal. All 53 guys in the team, we're all going to have, like, what?
Yeah.
How do we accomplish the one goal? We all fucked up. I threw a lot of interceptions. I threw a lot of bad passes, made a lot of bad reads. That happens. Physical mistakes happen. Mental mistakes happen to a degree. You know, you go into the huddle and there's 70,000 fans and I rattle off a play call. And in the call, I have two different calls. You know, I have one play with an alert to a next play if I like a different look. I get to the line of scrimmage and then I change the play and then I signal a route to someone. There's a lot of things going on. So I can live with some mental mistakes, you know, and because I made mistakes too. I'd get pissed if we weren't competitive. I'd get pissed if we weren't focused. I'd get pissed if we showed up late. Like, I think more of the intangible things would bother me rather than a guy dropping a ball. If a guy dropped a ball, hey, come on, we'll get the next one. You know, if a guy didn't give his heart and soul to the team, I'd have a problem with that. For a high-performing organization like I was in, we couldn't beat other teams if we were operating at 70%. Okay. Bill would always say, don't just expect to roll your helmet out on the field and think that they're going to quit. Like, you better go earn it. And when you get to be one of the top teams, every team that you play, they're measuring, you're the measuring stick for where they're at. So even if they lose and they keep it competitive, they're like, we were close. But we lost. You know, but for us, because we had this high bar, like, we had to do it. And that to me was the element of sport where, like, even the competition motivated us to be better. When I played Peyton Manning, I couldn't have an off day. That dude was going to throw for 350 yards. How could I have an average day and expect to win? So even the competition motivated us.